Every country in the world is in debt. The United States has exceeded $38 trillion, the highest level in history. The European Union carries about 14 trillion, Japan nearly 9 trillion. Even oil-rich nations and export giants like Germany and China are buried in massive debt, and you can't help but ask, if everyone is in debt, who is the lender? This is the hidden corner of the modern economy, where money, power, and history collide. Nothing is as simple as it seems. Debt isn't just a burden. It's the invisible skeleton holding today's world together. Every war, every crisis, every period of growth, built on debt. Debt is the engine of the modern world. But how did this engine begin? We need to go back, far back, 1694. The birth of national debt, England, was in the middle of a war with France, and its gold reserves were exhausted. The king turned to merchants who offered a deal. We'll give you money and you'll pay us interest from future taxes. That simple agreement changed history. To manage this system, the Bank of England was founded. This was the first step toward modern government bonds. From then on, states could spend money they didn't yet have. A new kind of power. The evolution of debt England started it. France followed. Holland perfected it. Even the United States financed its independence through debt. Debt became a symbol of power, not weakness. Empires stopped conquering land for gold. They issued bonds to gain strength. Battles moved from fields to financial statements, a world drowning in debt. Global debt now exceeds $315 trillion. Every country owes money. Every bank lends. Every citizen is both debtor and creditor through taxes, pensions, and savings. So the question remains, to whom? The answer, the world owes the world, but not everyone holds equal power. The biggest player, the United States. Of the U.S.'s $38 trillion in debt, about 66% is held by American investors, banks, funds, insurers, pension systems. Around 33% is held abroad. Japan leads with about 1 trillion. China follows with around 800 billion. The America is dependent on China narrative. China holds only about 2% of total U.S. debt. The reality is more interconnected. The U.S. issues bonds. American banks buy them. The Federal Reserve buys them if needed. Pension funds hold them, and citizens pay interest through taxes. A closed-loop system. The global debt chain Japan lends to the U.S. The U.S. lends to Europe. Europe lends to developing countries. Developing countries invest their reserves in U.S. bonds, a giant chain. The rule that keeps it alive. Nobody can leave the table. Who's really on top? Above government sits another layer. The markets, hedge funds, pension funds, giant investment firms. They influence interest rates, currencies, even governments. And above them, the central banks. They don't just print money, they create debt. In today's world, money equals debt. The hard truth, states never plan to pay it off. People repay loans, countries don't. Debt is rolled over, not erased. The goal isn't zero, it's stability. If the U.S. tried to pay off its debt entirely, banks would lose their safest asset, the money supply would collapse, and the global system would freeze. Debt's existence is more important than its repayment. When does collapse happen? When trust fails. Greece in 2010, Sudan, Sri Lanka, Argentina. When debt becomes unpayable, hidden creditors emerge, the IMF, rating agencies, giant funds, and ordinary people pay the price through taxes, unemployment, and austerity. Debt between classes. The world owing itself is a romantic idea. The reality, interest flows upward, the bill flows downward. Debt as a belief system. Debt is a promise, a belief, and belief sustains the system. The goal isn't to eliminate debt, but to keep it credible. When trust collapses, debt becomes more than a number. It becomes a crisis. Debt is an invisible belief system that forms the foundation of the modern world. We've seen how this complex system is not just about numbers, but how it shapes our history, power, and future. If you too want to explore more deep allegories of economics, history, and finance, and understand more than what meets the eye, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and join the conversation. See you in our next deep analysis.